He's built multi-million-dollar companies. His explosive books on health and wealth have sold over 60 million copies. Now, the Kevin Trudeau Show they don't want you to know.
Kevin Trudeau here, Limitless, the Kevin Trudeau Show. Man, this show today, you need to pay attention. How to manifest all of your goals, dreams, and desires 100% guaranteed. I did a show almost a year ago talking about how the brain is the most critical part of manifesting. You can follow all the manifesting procedures, but when you are putting out your desire on the wrong brainwave frequency, we'll call it the poverty wave, you're not going to manifest anything. Wealthy people broadcast what they want, their desires in life, their goals, on the wealth wave, on the billionaire brainwave. If you do that, that's the secret to manifesting. I'm going to show you how to do it. I recorded a show about a year ago. I want you to watch this show, take notes, watch it again and again, share it with everybody, because this is the secret that I have used to bring in billions and billions and billions of dollars and create stuff out of nothing over and over again. And it's the same secret that all the super wealthy people that I know, guys who have, and women who have hundreds of millions of dollars in net worth, what they use. And I know this because I put the brainwave machine on their head and I watched them do it, and it's 100%. They didn't even know they were doing it in most cases. It is really the hidden secret that no one even knows about, but it is the missing ingredient and probably why you're not manifesting your goals, dreams, and desires. So if you do it, you will. So take a look at this show from a previous episode of The Kevin Trudeau Show. Welcome to The Kevin Trudeau Show. I'm Kevin Trudeau, and you're not. I don't know why I like that. You know, that I think that was an old Chevy Chase line from Saturday Night Live. I don't know. Anyway, it's great to have you here. We broadcast 2 days a week currently, maybe more in the future. Monday and Wednesday at 1 o'clock. So make sure you tune in Mondays and Wednesdays at 1 o'clock for the show. Everything they don't want you to know about to improve the quality of your life. And I am the super genius, as you can see. I promised I would share today something that I don't think you've heard before. It's about how to manifest goals, dreams, and desires and what's really holding you back. What's preventing you? On this show, I have recommended a lot of books on our recommended book list. As a matter of fact, if we can put that chart up, okay, great. So here are the books that I've recommended, and these are the classic books that super wealthy people from around the world claim that they have read, such as Think and Grow Rich, The Magic of Believing, etc. See You at the Top by Zig Ziglar, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. These are classic success books that teach about how to use the mind to manifest goals, dreams, and desires. The Law of Attraction was popularized in one of the books I recommended, The Secret, which also was a video, and highly recommended. And I recommend you read these books. A lot of you and a lot of people around the world have read and studied the techniques to become successful, the techniques to manifest money in their life, the techniques to manifest goals, dreams, and desires, how to create your reality with your mind. They've studied these books. They've gone to seminars by the gurus who teach you how to manifest goals, dreams, and desires. There's a slew of new books with new success gurus out there. There are guys teaching stuff on YouTube all over the place. And you can punch in how to manifest, and there's a zillion, quote, experts who it cracks me up, you know, that they claim to be experts on how to manifest goals, dreams, and desires. And a lot of these people call me and say, Kevin, I'm trying to sell my book on how to manifest and it won't sell. Can you help me with the marketing? I go, well, if you know how to manifest, what are you calling me for? Just manifest a New York Times bestseller. I manifested 6 #1 New York Times bestsellers. I manifested 100 million books. I manifested companies that did over $25 billion in sales worldwide in today's dollars. I've manifested mansions and Rolls Royces and Ferraris, and I've manifested having dinner with kings in palaces and presidents and prime ministers. I've manifested a lot of stuff. If you are an expert on manifesting and you're writing a book, or if you're teaching a seminar, then manifest something. Stop calling me and help me. The reason why I say this is I authored a course, as you know, called Your Wish is Your Command, How to Manifest Your Desires. I authored that course after I generated $25 billion in business, after I proved that the stuff that I'm going to teach actually works. All these other guys are in the self-improvement business. They haven't manifested any money in their life. One guy was flat broke, living in the basement of his mother-in-law's house, bankrupt, writing a book on how to manifest, and he sold it, and that's how he made his money. He was broke when he was teaching others how to manifest. It's sound good material, and a lot of it is decent material. Yes. But it's not the truth, because they are talking about a subject that they know about, but not a subject that they know from personal experience. If they knew so much about manifesting, how come they didn't manifest something first before they started teaching or selling courses on manifesting? In Your Wish is Your Command, the first concept is, who do you listen to? You listen to somebody who has what you want and has been where you are. And you listen to them and you follow them and you mimic and model their behavior and thinking and actions, because they have a proven success system, a proven pattern for success, a formula, a recipe that works. And you can mimic and model. And that has been the method for thousands of years that people have utilized to learn how to succeed. They found somebody that was successful. They attached themselves to them. They learned, they observed, they picked up their energy, and that's what they did. They duplicated success. But there's a little trick here. If you find somebody who's very successful, don't duplicate what they're doing or thinking. Don't duplicate how they think, how they talk, how they act. Don't duplicate their actions. You duplicate how they thought, how they spoke, how they acted when they were broke like you are. In other words, you have to say, what were you doing when you first started? That's what you duplicate. It'll change over time. The way I have my daily schedule today, my actions today are dramatically different than it was back in 1975, when I was just starting off in my first business career. In the late 70s and 80s, that's what you want to duplicate. And not just me, but other people, when they were first starting off. When they were first starting off in business, in the beginning of their success, how did they think? How did they act? What was their daily schedule? Yeah. Did we work 14, 15, 16 hours a day, 7 days a week? Yes. Do I do that today? No. I kind of do, but not as much. Do you understand that? You see, a plane has to give it full throttle as it's going down the runway. It has to be full on, full throttle for a long period of time to build up enough momentum until it takes off. And when it takes off, as it begins to take off, the air gets lighter and it's easy and easier and easier. It goes faster and faster and faster. And once it gets to cruising altitude, then it pulls back the throttle and now you're in cruise. If you're watching a successful person, somebody who's very successful, they're on cruise control. That's different than when they first started and first taking off. So you have to duplicate that type of success. So today I'm going to talk about something that I don't think have heard from any of the other success gurus because I don't think they know about it. And look, I know most of these guys. Bob Proctor, the late Bob Proctor, used to work for Nightingale Coney Corporation. He worked for the largest producer of audio cassettes for personal development. They sold Dennis Waitley courses. They sold Brian Tracy courses. They sold Zig Ziglar courses. They sold Earl Nightingale courses. Spectacular courses on success and how to become successful and how to make money and how to get your attitude right, how to set goals, how to achieve goals. And Bob Proctor would read and listen to all this material. And he says, you know something? I am now an expert on personal development. I'm going to go out there and start my own company and make $1 million. He had never been a successful person. He worked as an employee and he learned the material and then he became a very good communicator of that material, but he was basically just parroting that material. And I'm not saying anything bad about Bob. I love Bob Proctor. And I think many of the material he has is excellent. Just like Jim Rohn was an excellent communicator and Tony Robbins is an excellent communicator of the material. The material that they're communicating is stuff that they learned from others and learned in books, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there is a vast difference just parroting what you've read or what you learned in a course versus when you applied that material and then you have personal experience in real life. Ed Foreman, one of my closest friends, one of the greatest motivational speakers of all time, started a company called Executive Development Systems of Dallas, where he taught people success principles. But he didn't start teaching the success principles until he had made a couple $100 million. He had, through personal experience, he read books too, but he was in the concrete business. He was in the construction business. He was in the oil and gas business in West Texas. He was in real companies and real businesses in real life making millions of dollars, applying the techniques. And as he applied the techniques, he would think, oh, wait a minute. You actually apply it this way, not that way, because this little distinction creates the results. And only later, when he had made hundreds of millions of dollars, did he say, I, from personal experience, now can share my personal experience of how the techniques work in real life and how I've seen them work for others, and now I can share that with you. And therefore, when you hear Ed Foreman speak, it's wildly different than another motivational speaker because you can sense the depth of knowledge in the data. Does this make sense? And this is why the Success Mastery course that I authored, which starts with Your Wish is Your Command, is so distinctly powerful because it doesn't come from just regurgitating stuff that's in the books that I recommend, which are all good. It's through the years, through my training in the Brotherhood, through the success training that I received, through the brain training on how to manifest that I received back in the late 60s and early 70s, and then applying it and then making millions and applying it and making tens of millions and applying it and making billions and then helping others and watch them apply it in real life, my friends and colleagues, make millions. That's when I knew. I didn't know about the material. I knew the material, and that's when I authored the Success Mastery course, the Science of Personal Mastery course, and that's why I founded the Global Information Network, which allows people now access to the information that's not just sound good information, but it's workable, proven through decades of experience of not just myself, but many others. That's what makes it dramatically different. So the question then, and the reason why I'm here today on this show, and I promised you I would do this, is why are so many people failing? Why are so many people not succeeding? Why are so many people not manifesting their goals, dreams, and desires when they're watching all these videos on YouTube on how to manifest? And they're going to all these seminars and paying tens of thousands, and in some cases, $50,000 or $100,000.
I've had people call me and say, Kevin, over the last 10 years, I've invested over $250,000 on courses from Bob Proctor and Tony Robbins and Joe Dispenza and Joe Vitale and all these different people that teach manifesting techniques. And I'm broker now than ever before. As a matter of fact, I just have to file personal bankruptcy. I think I'm applying the material that I've learned, but for some reason, it's not working. Why doesn't it work? The studies are really clear. The book, Think and Grow Rich. Bruce Lee used it. Many celebrities and wealthy people say, I read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I learned the success system that never fails. I learned that you have to define your dream and have a burning desire for its achievement. And I applied it and it worked and I made all this money. But that's like a 0.5% of the people that have actually read the book. In survey, when you take people that have read that book and say, have you read that book? Yes. Okay, let's take 1,000 people. They've read it. How many times have you read it? Let's take 1,000 people that have said they've read it at least 5 times. And let's take 1,000 people that said not only have they read the book, Think and Grow Rich 5 times, but they claim that they are absolutely 100% applying the material as stated in the book. They show me their written out statement, like the one Bruce Lee wrote, which I talked about in the previous episode. And they show everything that they've done. They've read books like Ask and It Is Given, an excellent book. It's on my recommended list. They've read books like Think and Grow Rich or other Napoleon Hill books, The Law of Success. The Science of Getting Rich by Waddell is one of the first books which talked about the law of attraction. This Charles Haniel's book, The Master Key to Riches. There's a lot of old books in the 20s and 30s and 40s that talked about this. And we take 1,000 people that say they've read this material. They've gone to every Tony Robbins seminar. They've gone to every seminar by this guru and that guru and this expert and this expert and this expert. And they say, nothing has worked, Kevin. Kevin, nothing has worked. And many of you probably felt the same way. You're thinking, Kevin, I think I'm applying the law of attraction, but it's not working. I don't have the relationship that I want. I don't have the health that I want. I don't have the money and the finances that I want. I'm trying to attract success and it's not working. Why doesn't it work? Well, I'm here to tell you why it doesn't work and why it's never going to work for you unless you correct a couple simple things. Number one, in your brain, there are 2 primary glands that we're going to talk about today, which will make the difference between whether you succeed or fail, whether the law of attraction works or doesn't work. The first one is called the hippocampus. And we'll show a picture of the hippocampus in the brain on the screen here. And the next one is called the pineal gland. Some people call it the pineal gland. For my way of pronouncing it, I'm going to use pineal, P-I-N-E-A-L, pineal gland. And maybe that's the wrong way, the official way to pronounce it. I don't know. I've been to scientific centers and I've had 2 PhDs say it differently. So I'm going to use pineal gland. So these are the 2 glands. So let's take the difference between somebody who's very rich and somebody who's average. And when I say very rich, in today's world, in the old days it used to be, he's a millionaire. Well, a millionaire back in the day when it was said to be a millionaire, he's a millionaire. It was worth at least $100 million today. So if a guy had a net worth of $100 million back in the day and he was a millionaire, he actually had cash of $100 million. That was a successful person. He's a millionaire. So we're going to put category A. Let's look at people who have at least $100 million in cash. Not in like real estate assets where they make 100 or 200 grand a year income. Oh, I'm worth, 100 million. Look at all my real estate assets. Yeah, but if you sell them, it's not going to, and it's cash. So let's look at the brains of people that have at least 100 million. And let's look at the brains of the person that makes, let's say, $200,000 a year or less. That's the average person. Some of you are thinking, wow, if I made 200, I'd be rich. Okay, but let's just look at all those people, 200,000 or less. Let's look at 100,000 or less. It doesn't matter. It's the same brain, quite frankly. Now let's look at both of those brains, and now let's look first at the size of the hippocampus. I got news for you. I mean, the researchers have proven this to be true. This is what they don't want you to know about. The size of the hippocampus in the wealthy people is much larger, 30, 40, 50, sometimes even 100% larger than the size of the hippocampus in the average person's brain. So if you're watching right now and you are not manifesting goals, dreams, and desires, one of the reasons is the hippocampus in your brain is too small. Don't worry, you can make it bigger. But you can also make it smaller based on what you do or don't do. Why is it important and significant to have a big hippocampus? Because when I wrote the course, and I taught the course, Your Wish is Your Command, I said something that was like so crazy. I said the brain is a transmitter and receiver of frequency. And the reason I said that is because it's true. The scientific research proves it to be true. But before scientific research proved it to be true, spiritual masters for thousands of years said that. Einstein said it. Thomas Edison said it. Even though they didn't have the equipment, they instinctively knew that the brain was producing frequencies. Now we have all the research that says, oh yeah, brain produces frequencies. It's actually a broadcaster and receiver of frequency. Well, there's two parts of the brain that broadcast and receive the frequency, primarily. The hippocampus and the pineal gland. So, the law of attraction says if you put out a vibration, it's going to come back to you. Well, that's great. But let's say that you have a transmitter that has like 10 watts and you turn it on and broadcast a transmission. It goes out 20 feet and then that's it. You need a powerful transmitter, which means you need a big, powerful, active hippocampus. And if you don't have it, that means no matter what you do in terms of sending out a positive desire into the universe, you're not broadcasting a strong frequency. It's weak. Therefore, you're not going to attract much. But if the hippocampus is bigger, then you can broadcast that frequency. It's 100 times, 1,000 times, 10,000 times, 100,000 times more powerful. And now, because you've broadcasted a powerful frequency of what you desire, the universe gives it to you because they can hear it. That's number one. Number two, let's look at the pineal gland of these two groups. The pineal gland in the group of wealthy people is active. The pineal gland of the average person is calcified, which means it's not very active at all. It's not broadcasting. Big problem. Big O. Problemo. Es ist ein Problem. It is a problem if your pineal gland is calcified. I'm going to talk about why it got calcified in a minute. And then you may get really mad. If your pineal gland is calcified, you can't broadcast. The pineal gland is a little different than the hippocampus. Hippocampus broadcasts a frequency in this plane, in this world, in this physical dimension. So if you want to manifest money, broadcasting from the hippocampus will broadcast the frequency here in the physical dimension. The pineal gland also broadcasts in the physical dimension, but it broadcasts also on all 33 dimensions and connects through the veil to the oneness. This gives you bliss, peace, happiness, joy, insight, It gives you intuition. It connects you with a sense of oneness so that you can then go into the spiritual realms or do some supernatural things like read minds or be able to see energy, connect with people at a different level of understanding, compress time. Oh boy, I'm talking about all these spooky things. Is this real? Yeah, it is. From personal experience. I'm not talking about stuff I know about. I'm talking about stuff that I know. So let's talk about the brainwave frequencies that come out of these two glands. There's a little chart we're going to put up. They're basically 5 brainwave frequencies. So you can look at this chart and you can see at the top, the highest frequency that resonates or moves the quickest is called gamma. Those are gamma waves. Then beneath gamma, we have what's called beta waves. Beneath beta, we have what's called alpha waves. Beneath alpha, we have what's called theta waves. And beneath theta, we have delta. And just to give you a quick little rundown here, delta at the bottom, that's when you sleep. When you sleep at certain periods of the time when you're in deep sleep, the brain waves will slow down to delta, and that's when you're dreaming, your essence is almost leaving your body, and it allows the body to heal and rejuvenate. Human growth hormone is released when you're in delta, stimulating the body, healing the body. The mind completely relaxes. All the muscles, tendons, ligaments, organs relax, heal, rejuvenate. You're connecting with the universe in delta, and the body is in the healing state, which is why rest and healing have always gone together. Sleep heals, rest heals. When your body is at rest, and what it really means is when your brain is operating in delta, it has the ability to heal. If your brain is not in delta, you're going to have a very hard time healing, and you're going to age very, very quickly. So the average person, you don't get very much delta waves at night. If you go to sleep for 8 hours, it might be only an hour where your brain is in delta. People that heal and have great longevity, it's 3-4 hours a night that their brain is in delta. So their body rejuvenates quicker. They're producing more human growth hormone, and they have more vigorous, vibrant health. They'll live longer, and they'll not only add years to their life, but they'll add life to their years. It's powerful. I'm going to tell you how to do this in a second. The theta band, this is, we call it the wealth or prosperity wave, because theta is the energy of the physical universe. When you broadcast a desire on a theta wave, it hits every molecule in the universe, and it is the most powerful wave which will attract wealth into your life. So theta is the key to wealth. Above theta is alpha. Alpha is when your left and right brain hemisphere are beautifully connected. It is a nice state of relaxation, and it is the ideal state to be in when you're learning new information. Because this way, when you're learning data, it's going into both left and right brain hemisphere. Your we'll call it the subconscious and analytical mind, or conscious mind and subconscious mind, are all working together, and it's a beautiful state. When you're broadcasting on alpha, it's almost as good as theta into the physical universe, but not quite as powerful. But alpha is a beautiful state to be in. It is the learning state, we'll call it. It is also the relaxation state, because it's a state that if you're in, your body is in homeostasis or balance. So it's a great state to be in a lot of the time. Now we have beta. Beta is analytical mind on steroids. When you are in beta, your analytical mind is active. When your analytical mind is active, that means the ego is in charge. You're analyzing. Analysis always leads to paralysis. You're thinking. You're worrying. You're thinking about what you don't want to happen. You're under stress. Beta is called the poverty or slave frequency. And I'll tell you the news. If we were to put some brainwave machine on your head and followed you around for a week, let's say, and I've done this, so I know, and I've seen the research with others, we've done it before in the centers that I've worked with at the Brotherhood. If I were to take you and just put this on and say, yeah, let's just, run the tape, keep it on for a week. Sorry, when you can't take it off when you shower, but, bathe. And a week later, we take the helmet off and all the probes off, and we look at the data, and we say, when you're awake, 90% of the time, you're producing beta waves. That's the slave wave. That's the poverty wave. That's the no manifestation wave. That's the stress wave. That's producing the stress hormones in the body, making you gain weight. It also makes you age faster, stress out, struggle. It also creates conflict in relationships because it's kind of like a wave that goes out, and when somebody is in your space, subconsciously, it's like you're taking your fingernails and scratching it across a blackboard. So it creates conflict, it creates arguments, it creates negative emotions, it creates stress. Cortisol, which is the stress hormone, gets released and produced, and you start putting on belly fat, you get wrinkles, some people's hair fall out, you can't sleep really well, you get erectile dysfunction, all the issues with stress. You get cancer. Then above the beta, you have gamma. Gamma is supraconsciousness. It is, we'll call it the genius wave, because it goes above the analytical mind. The analytical mind is operating at peak performance here, but you're also at the same time, because the frequency is so high, you're connected to the universe. So when you're in theta, your analytical mind isn't really active. Your intuition is, you're connected to the universe. But when you're in gamma, it's a kind of a combination of both. And this is the state of complete homeostasis and bliss. When you look at Tibetan monks or people that have meditated for decades, spiritual gurus who have the title guru, and they wear the Indian robes and they look like a guru. And you put the brainwave helmets on, they operate, if you look at a week, most of the time in gamma during the day. They're in that state of constant bliss, which is why when I asked the monks one time, oh, by the way, when you have an orgasm, you go into gamma. And so when you have a sexual orgasm, for that moment, you're producing gamma waves, which is why in Harvard, there was some Tibetan monks being interviewed, and somebody says, how is it that you can, be a monk and not have sex? It's a drive. And the monks looked at each other and they talked and they said, well, when you feel like you're having an orgasm all the time, you really don't have a sex drive, because you feel like you're having an orgasm every minute of the day. That didn't make sense to anybody at the time. Well, now it does, because their brain waves are producing gamma based on their spiritual practices and mental practices. That is it produces in the body the feeling of orgasm. Interesting. So let's look at these two groups of people again. So let's take the average person, and let's take it a person who makes or has $100 million cash in the bank or more. So they're the super wealthy. And then the average person. And let's put helmets on them for a week. Let's take 100 people, put helmets on them, and let's look at the data. The data is real clear. I mean, there's a lot of data, but I'll just give you the one that's important. The average person is mostly producing, when they're awake, beta waves, poverty, slave waves, stress waves. And then at night, they don't produce very much delta. Let's look at the wealthy people. Throughout the day, they're producing mostly theta and gamma rays. Almost no beta during the day. They also have alpha, but if you combine them, the majority is alpha waves being broadcast during the day and gamma waves. And then at nighttime, they have 2 or 3 or 4 times the amount of delta waves being produced than the average person. So let's make it real simple. If you want to manifest goals into your dreams and desires, and none of the techniques that you're using is working, you have to reduce the amount of beta waves that you're generating. If you reduce beta, if you just reduce it, that means the others have to go up, right? So just focus on what can I do to reduce the amount of beta waves that I'm broadcasting when I'm awake. That'll automatically increase theta, alpha, and gamma, and you're going to do infinitely better. Let's just start there, something simple. I mean, yeah, if you want to take the advanced, you want to dramatically increase theta and gamma. And then, but let's not just reduce beta. And I'm going to tell you what you can do to reduce beta, and that means everything else will go up. And if you're applying the techniques correctly, you're going to get results. And if you're applying the law of attraction manifesting techniques incorrectly, you're still going to get results. Why? Because if you're reducing the beta waves, you do want stuff. And even if you do it wrong, you're going to be broadcasting it on either an alpha frequency, a gamma frequency, or a theta frequency, which means it's going to manifest infinitely faster than, and it will manifest. Unlike a beta wave, when you're putting out your desire on a beta wave, it ain't going to manifest. Or if it does, it's going to be so hard. You're going to have to put so much effort in. Bottom line, how does this work? You need to increase the size of the hippocampus so that you have more broadcasting power, number one. Number two, reduce beta. And number three, decalcify your pineal gland. After $25 billion, I think I know how to manifest. Okay. And watching hundreds of people become multimillionaires using the techniques, it's a different level of knowledge and understanding and expertise and distinction and fine-tuning. The recipe is perfect. The formula is perfect. There's nothing like it. It's a workable plan. So you have to know that. Number two, when you broadcast your desire, it has to be on a theta wave. Ideally. Alpha works okay, gamma works okay, theta is the best for manifesting stuff in this world. You can only broadcast on the theta if your beta waves during the day aren't very active. So you have to learn how to do that. Next, your hippocampus has to be bigger, so you're broadcasting a strong frequency. And so you have to do the things to increase the size of the hippocampus. And by the way, this is why we say, it all depends on if he was born into the right family. At the end of the day, if you were born into a wealthy family, you're born with a big hippocampus. I mean, that's just the way it works. It's genetic. You can get it bigger, but it's just genetic. Next, your pineal gland and your teeth have to be decalcified so you can broadcast not just into the physical universe, but into all the dimensions so you can get that intuition, that inspiration, connect with the Akash, sometimes called the ether. You've heard of the Akashic records. That's a fancy word from India. Akash is another word for the ether, which is another word for the field. It's where all knowledge is. It's where all the dimensions are. It's where we tap into when we channel. When you hear somebody, oh, he's channeling something, he's tapping into the Akash or tapping into the force or tapping into the field or tapping into the ether, different words. Tapping into source, tapping into the infinite intelligence. It's tapping into the field of all knowledge, which we're all a part of. You can't tap into it if your pineal gland is calcified, so you have to release that. And then lastly, and I think most importantly, you have to release clear out of your field counter intention. to you manifesting. The blocks, there are 33 of them. You only need the first one because the first one has an effect on all the other ones. I had one done, one money process run on me, just one. And I made millions of dollars within weeks. This is back in the 70s. I didn't know there was more. I thought that was it. And money was just flowing faster and easier than I had ever imagined. Everything I tried, I had the Midas touch, turned to gold. I've seen it happen with other people, my friends back in the day. I ran that. I remember one guy who was in the apartment, and I said, I'm just going to run this on him. He's not even going to know what happened. And I want to see what happens to him. Within a couple months, all of a sudden, the guy's a millionaire. And through this serendipitous boom, 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 just happens. These are powerful techniques. This is the reality. This is the reality. But you can do it. This is just the tip of the iceberg, my friends. Remember the fluoride? And someone says, Kevin, is this real? Yeah, this is not just real, man. This is the truth. The question is, can you handle the truth?
You can't handle the truth.
I hope you can. I'm Kevin Trudeau. Thanks for watching. Every Monday and Wednesday, it's the Kevin Trudeau Show. Everything they don't want you to know about. Go for your dreams, my friend. Dream big dreams. Shoot for the moon. Because even if you miss, you'll still wind up amongst the stars. And remember, don't let anyone ever steal your dreams. You can do it.